Aren't you tired of living for someone else? Do you feel energetic? When no one is around and you're alone at the end of the day, how do you really feel? You will always live a life of instability and chaos if you're not living for yourself. Patterns of codependency are annoying and they keep you in a victim mindset. They take away all your agency. That is a lose-lose situation for everyone involved. Realizing that I was tired of living for other people was one of the biggest realizations that I woke up to in my early 20s. That started the process of me actually building a prosperous and aligned path in life for myself based on healthy self-esteem. If I can do it, you can do it too. Everything that I did in my life, up until the point of me realizing that I didn't need to live for other people anymore, but everything before that point was like seriously a futile effort. It was like my ego and my childhood wound running around each other like headless chickens. Huge waste of time and energy, blah, blah, blah. We're not doing that anymore. The only way to build a core self-esteem, which you need to create and maintain anything meaningful in life, is to live in accordance to your own heart and your own values and your own needs. When you're ashamed of yourself or when you have low esteem, it's tiring, right? Doesn't it suck? It's like not fun. You start to realize that everyone is out for themselves. Meanwhile, you're out here prioritizing literally every single person over your own self, your inner child that's hurting and wants to be heard, your own heart, all of that. Like, you're literally prioritizing everyone and everything under the sun over yourself. And that hurts, and that is a hard life to live. And you're getting the short end of the stick, and that is never fun. But why don't you stop? Why can't you break out of it? Why aren't you living for yourself and prioritizing yourself and being the main character, as social media loves to say, more consistently, like 24/7? Because you don't really know how to, right? I believe that if you really knew how to and could just fully embody it, you would. Because trust me, it's the best and it's the most simple way to live. Like it's the best and it's simple. That's great. I hope watching this video will help you rationalize why it's always advantageous for you to put your heart, like your real desires, as first priority. The goal of today's video, is to help you stop living for someone else and start living for yourself. Starting today, starting now, after you watch this video. This is how you're gonna build so much more self-love, unity, harmony, clarity in your own life, in your own mind, your own inner worlds. If you're living for other people too much, wake up. Do you dedicate your life to other people? Are other people's needs and requests still running through your mind night and day? I don't resonate with this anymore, but I used to. And that's why I really wanted to talk about this topic today, because I want to help people who are maybe realizing that they're living so much for other people in their lives, whether it's parents, friends, coworkers, bosses, etc. I want you to reclaim your power and your agency, because once you start living for yourself again, that's where you are in your full power. That is how you break free from unhealthy codependent patterns, and that is how you ultimately build a stronger self-esteem and fundamental confidence and self-love. So it's really life-changing, but it's so hard for a lot of people, especially women, totally been there myself, to kind of live and actually do the things we want for ourselves. Before we start, this video might not be for everyone. It might be like, oh, Allie, like, come on, this is common knowledge. Like, I've been living for myself. I've been the main character, okay? If that's the case, great, like, click off. I'm glad that you're not experiencing this problem, but younger me definitely was. Actually, I think I'm probably 1 in 10 or 20 girls have the problem that I had growing up. I don't know the statistic. I literally just made that number up. But yeah, I think probably there's like a sizable percentage of young girls or women that don't have the strongest self-esteem, don't really fully know how to break out codependent patterns or being like a people pleaser. It can feel really isolating, and people might not relate to it, which can be really isolating, and it can make you feel more shame, toxic shame, and it can prevent you from finding the solutions and from healing from those patterns. If you're a guy watching this too, this obviously applies too. In this video, I'm gonna use more feminine terms because I do think girls are socialized to be nicer, to be more considerate, not hurt people's feelings, etc. Growing up, I felt like none of my best friends could really relate to this because they had really good self-esteems, they had less codependency in their lives, etc. So it's really isolating. So I made this video to be like, hey, you're not alone in this. For the percentage of people that this video will really resonate with, I really hope you'll watch it and get some value out of it. When I couldn't find content around things like this, my younger self, I felt like people couldn't relate to my problems or didn't have them. And it made me feel so isolated from my peers and like I was beyond helping. And life just seemed to get harder and harder at every level, like from middle school to high school to college to working life. Up until like literally a few years ago, I was still constantly suffering from this in my own inner world. There was nothing I wanted more than liberation, but I felt so like isolated in the search for it. We're gonna go pretty deep into this topic today around self-love and codependency, how to reclaim agency over our own lifestyles and choices. Apologies in advance, I guess, if any of this triggers you, but sometimes little T triggers are necessary for growth. This is a topic that might have big T triggered me back in the day based on what I was going through, but yeah, basically like I'm not a licensed therapist or anything, but I do have a lot of personal experience working through this. So I just invite you with so much empathy and love to kind of explore this topic. Take what you like, leave what you don't. Be kind if anything is triggered when we're talking about this. But yeah, basically, let's kind of just jump right into it with that disclaimer out of the way. Women, younger girls, we're just conditioned to be good, do things for other people, be really considerate for other people. It can quickly backfire. Depending on kind of your personality and how cooperative you are as a person. This can quickly backfire. You might think of yourself as a really good person. You walk around smiling like you're happy all the time and your life is peaceful. But on the inside, something feels wrong and you feel ashamed towards yourself. There's some inner blockage, okay? And who are you ashamed of? I'm speaking from personal experience. I went through all of this. Who are you ashamed of? You're ashamed of yourself because you've pushed her away again and again until your default state has just become ignoring her because you can't meet your own needs and also meet up with the many and never-ending needs of other people. So you compromise your own needs and you push them away, avoid them, then eventually you get into this toxic state of having this underlying shame towards yourself. The shame comes from not fully meeting your own needs, not putting yourself first. Little more backstory just because oh my god, this topic's so interesting and personal to me, and I know so many people struggle with this deep down, or you're maybe not even that aware of it. So I really want to share exactly the frame so you can really understand it, and then we can begin to break it down a bit. For me, okay, I was so crippled when I was constantly living for other people. And the worst part was that the unaware younger self of mine was proud of it. I held on to it like a trophy. And now the older me, I realized oh, this is a deep defense mechanism in my subconscious almost. It was like a defense mechanism for survival. I felt like my survival depended on people liking me and me being on teams with people, right? That is how little my world was. I really didn't feel like I had that much agency over my life. Didn't have as great self-esteem, to be honest. And so my world was so small. I was definitely in a survival state. That's how low my self-concept was. So fun, so fun. I thought it was love and care, but it was codependency. Textbook codependency. I've studied this topic a lot these past few years. I'm not a therapist, so take all this with a grain of thought. My own anecdotal perspective, not a therapist. But yes, I looked a lot into codependency, and basically I was extremely codependent for a long time, and it was conditioned into me. It was like I was living in the Truman Show or something where everything was artificially nice and palatable on the surface, but deep down I had this unease. Here's the thing. If you're watching this video and you're relating to everything or most of the things that I'm saying, you were taught to be a nice girl. We were taught to be good girls. Media, school, society, images of what it being female. We were conditioned to be nice girls. We were conditioned to be good. We were conditioned to be a good student, a good employee, a good friend, family, girlfriend, whatever. But that's BS. That is conditioning. See it how you want to see it, but I think it's limiting and it doesn't allow us to own the full power, expansiveness of identity and agency that every human is born with and should be allowed to actualize and express no matter anything on the surface, your gender, your nationality, whatever. Like basically we're human. We have free will and we do have agency. I do believe that. My POV is that we should only live for ourselves. This isn't to say we should just be recklessly selfish. Whatever perspective you have towards this, I just fundamentally believe that as humans, we should awaken to our own agency. There's a lot of power in owning your choices and recognizing, like being aware that you can own your own choices and that you do own your own choices. So it's not helpful that we were conditioned to be nice, to be good, to be model citizens. So then I lived like this, all artificially nice and put together on the surface until I went out into the real world. And I got a real good taste of how unfair, how things operate behind the scenes, okay? It was like a bucket of icy cold water to my psyche and to my identity. Like I had multiple ego deaths. And it was a shock to my own self who realized that everything I had known and lived in until now would not help me survive in this real world. Sugar and spice and everything nice. Yeah, like I'm being thrown out to the wolves. Okay, I am not going to survive. So I need to reframe my thinking. I studied economics at UCLA, and this is the thing, like as depressing it as this may sound, when we model human behavior, everyone inherently will act selfishly because that is the most balanced outcome at the end of the day. The most balanced outcome comes from when we act independently, information agnostically to our own maximized self-interest. Basically, the way I see it is that we reach equilibrium and modeled fairness through everyone acting in their selfish best interest. This is basically game theory and what those frameworks in that school of economics explores, but like an unbalanced system is where you have one person acting out of goodwill, but then if you have other selfish players, basically that one person gets really, really screwed. I was studying this in econ and I was like, oh, like that's me. Like the gears started turning a little more. Okay, I want to take a step back too though, because I want to say like I am a soft person. I appreciate rationality and I'm quite rational as well, but I am a very heart-driven person. Something encouraging if you're going through this process, which is that I think the most important, most fundamental parts of myself have not changed. Like the core goodness of who I am and the character traits that I like in myself haven't changed really, but I only live for myself now. Not only, but I really prioritize myself now, and I don't let other people affect my lifestyle or life choices too much. But it's not like I literally became a different person or abandoned myself. I actually integrated more fully with myself through this process. So that's why I want to share this journey and my perspective, because it's just better on the other side. It's better in every way. If you're a loving, caring person with a big heart, which I'm sure you are if you're, still watching to this point of the video, I'm gonna also talk about why that's actually creating the most net good for everyone, including the people that you love and want to serve at the end of the day. So it's really a win-win situation here. Put everyone's else's needs kind of in the backseat, take 1 or 2 steps away from it, create some real space for yourself. My own conditioning of being good, I guess, came in at an early age because I wasn't raised by my parents in my early childhood. I was raised abroad and then I was brought to America and essentially met or was introduced to my parents. and then like integrated with my family unit from there on. But that's all to say that I feel like I had many layers of politeness, obedience built into me. I kind of felt like a guest in a way of my own family. The last thing I ever wanted to be was selfish. Growing up, I see how this has affected me. Codependency is when two people put conditions on each other to keep their own selves feeling safe in that relationship. So it's a very like, we have to keep each other in our place, and there's this very delicate codependent balance, right? And in that kind of relationship, both people are being selfish in a way. You require someone else to act a certain way and fill certain patterns so that you can feel safe. But by participating in these patterns, you're both being selfish in a way. So yes, in many ways, I was being selfish because I was codependent, but basically the word selfish really wasn't doing me justice. I was overthinking it way too much and kind of felt like eventually people used to kind of like guilt trip me using the word selfish, and it wasn't really productive to the relationship at all. So I just kind of stopped putting so much energy around the word selfish, and it instead looked at where I was being codependent in my life and just trying to heal myself. It's not actually selfish to be selfish. It's very healthy to be a reasonable amount of selfish and to have a reasonable amount of self-interest for how you show up and experience your life. By being and feeding codependent relationships, you're not doing anyone a favor. In fact, by you waking up and refusing to live in the boxes that people built for you in their own minds, mainly, like mostly to keep themselves feeling safe and good about themselves. By waking up and refusing to fit in those molds anymore, you're actually doing them a favor by giving them a wake-up call too. And hopefully that leads to growth on their side as well. When you wake up and leave a codependent system, it'll either become an echo chamber, or the other person will feel that emptiness, be forced to also see themselves in their own patterns and grow from that. And this isn't a sign morality of good or bad or people being good or bad. This isn't about blaming other people. Codependency is a very complicated thing. The patterns are built from wounds that we have. So like I say all of this with the utmost respect and empathy and compassion for anyone in these situations, no matter like what end. I really just see all of this, the inner work, as a journey. This isn't about assessing judgments like good or bad. This is about something much more expansive and transcendent, which is your own inner freedom and joy. Your inner freedom and joy can coexist with anyone and anything, even the people that are trying so hard to keep you in a box. They are on their own journey. I'm going to talk about this more later towards the end of the video because this is the ultimate, this is the GOAT. But basically, we're all on our own journeys. We're not here to judge other people's journeys, but we are here to remember that we always have agency over ourselves and our choices. Oh gosh, so there was the history of younger me. Here I am, a powerful woman, a powerful soul, a force of nature, keeping myself so small and jumping through hoops to be controlled by people with selfishly motivated agendas. Again, because selfish, we can use this as a neutral word, okay? Like, I'm jumping to fit into the molds of people who are acting their own selfish agendas which had everything to do with their own egos and sense of comfort and nothing to do with me, my unique purpose or mission on this earth. Hopefully at this point in the video, you can see how silly of a pattern this is to keep ourselves in and how it's really not doing anyone in this pattern any justice, okay? Stop living for other people, start living for yourself. It is the best and the most simple way. It is the most best and simple way, and it'll only bring goodness to your own experience and the people that you love around you. Growing up, being obedient became part of my identity. I built a weird sense of comfort and even pride in it, instead of questioning it and wondering if it was a good thing at all, really. Is it a compliment to be obedient? I really don't think so anymore, but for some reason growing up, I didn't question it for a long time. And I was totally blind to my own true power and agency in this lifetime. So really interesting. My level of codependency needed a lot more therapy and more high-level mentors and mindset coaches that I didn't really have the resources to access until a little bit later in my life. If you resonate with this video, keep watching, because I want you to rise to your own power. I want you to be able to listen to your own heart and listen to your own intuition without feeling selfish about it. Your real self and your needs are so important. The last part of this codependency map that we've been exploring in this video is that you're scared. Fear is something I talk about on my channel because it's important to be a mind Jedi if you want to self-actualize and become the person that you are truly meant to be. But seriously, if you're scared, it's scary, I get it, because you're used to living for other people. Again, like I said, this idea that I was obedient was a core part of my identity for such a long time. You're used to living for other people, and it's easier because you don't have to disappoint yourself. You can always rest behind this false layer of feeling at ease, feeling satisfied on the surface level, because you never have to deal with the risk of disappointing yourself or letting your real self down. Because if you don't reach and strive for the things that your true self really wants, you don't have to get hurt. You don't have to be the cause of your own pain. I hope you're following. I hope this is making sense. You don't have to look at yourself as a failure. You don't have to face the scary thoughts of, am I not enough? Is my everything, is my best effort not enough? If you've been living for other people for most of your life, your self-esteem is probably not in the highest place. You probably don't have the best internal self-talk. So like this fear is going to be large. Like you are going to really be scared of looking like a failure, disappointing yourself. I'm speaking from my personal experience. It's scary, yeah, because when you stop living for someone else and prioritizing other people's goals and wishes over your own, all you have now to look back in the mirror is yourself. You have your own voice saying things about yourself. You can't just like avoid yourself or neglect yourself anymore and like just be focused on other people. You actually have to come face to face with yourself, and that can be terrifying. It can be so scary. And like disappointing yourself on the deepest level, that's really scary too. But it is all so important on your journey to stepping into your true power and to building foundational self-esteem, which is all that I want for you. Like if you watch through to the end of this video, if you clicked on this topic, if you're exploring this topic, if you feel like you have a wound where you're constantly people pleasing, what I want for you is that you will rediscover your own agency and really build a strong, unshakable self-esteem. That's gonna take you through life. That's what's gonna help you survive in this world. It's not other people, it's yourself. So like, I get it. It's really, really scary. And I'm warning you, it's hard, but it's not that hard, okay? You just gotta do it. You just gotta follow certain places. It's not that hard. It's not as hard as your inner dialogue might be building it up to be. The reward on the other side is worth the perceived risk of you stepping out of codependencies and people pleasing. And if you are resonating with this video or have questions, DM me the word inspires. Would love to talk to you. Like seriously, I've been there myself. Like I've like really thought deeply on this topic. So if there's any way I can help, just reach out to me. You are not alone. A lot of people are secretly going through this journey. Yeah. So yeah, do not be feared, scared, afraid. So now let's imagine what the next steps might look like. Here's how I believe everything worthwhile in life goes. Whether it's transforming yourself, learning a new skill, etc. First, you have the eureka moment where it starts to click that, oh yeah, this might be the thing that's holding me back. This is what I call awareness of the problem. This is like the initial awareness. Then comes all the overwhelming fear and anxiety of, how do I change this? It's impossible for me. I can't change this. Who am I gonna disappoint or piss off in the process? Am I ready? Is it worth it? Blah, 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 blah. All these like noisy anxieties, right? Okay, that's another phase of the journey. Then you decide to do it. You get this rush of adrenaline, like, oh, I did it, like, yes, like, I am that bitch, like whatever, right? And then it gets hard again because once you make the change and start stepping away from your old self, there's like nothing, there's no new identity yet. So you have to actually create your new self and then keep this new self around. This is where the consistency comes in. And this is why I want you to like literally build foundational self-esteem, because that's going to carry you through this entire process. This is the part where you stop living for other people and you actually have to figure out who you are and what matters. And sure, you might fail a few times on the way, maybe not if you're lucky, but it's so worth it. Trust me. Thank you if you've got to this point in the video, because here's the best part of all of this, okay? I know you care about other people because genuinely you care about other people. The younger me cared so much. Like, I wanted to spoil my grandmother who raised me. I wanted to see my parents happy, proud of me. I want to be a positive, uplifting influence. And this is the beautiful part, is you get to have it all. When you start living for yourself and putting yourself first, you can still be all of those great, loving, supportive, positive things that you want it to be. It's not like mutually exclusive. You just have to get the order right. I don't need to reject those parts of myself that crave harmony, that care about how I make other people feel, because there's truth in that too. Like, that's a very important part of who I am. But I also need to get real with like what I want to, and I need to go on that painful journey of verbalizing what I want and like be willing to disappoint myself in the process of trying to achieve those things. That is self-actualization. That is how we build our self-esteem and awaken to our own agency. You need to figure out who you are, and you need to live for yourself in a way that's totally independent of other people's desires, especially if they're like based in patterns of codependency. You need to figure out what your needs are, what your values are, etc. You just need to build it for yourself before you do it for other people. That's the key. You'll never get to your optimal state if you're building for other people first while ignoring your own needs. There is that phrase that like fill your own bucket first or fill your own cup first. You just won't get there. You'll crash and burn and feel miserable and realize you need to start all over again, and maybe you'll even click back into this video and watch it again. Or worst case, the person that you worked so hard to make happy and to please could just leave you. Just take in what I'm saying, like all of this, take it in really now, the first time that you're hearing it. If you want to ask any questions or like share your own journey, feel free to DM me, Ellie Inspires. Happy to talk. If you watch this video, I hope you'll start thinking about all the ways that you might be living for someone else's demands or needs right now. And I hope you'll start being more present to some of your own. If you want to talk to me about this topic, DM me the word inspires and I would love to hear more. Thanks so much for watching. Sending all my love and support and excitement as always, and see you soon.